So good evening, Professor. Thanks very much for your time. Tell us how things are going at the WITS trial.
So good evening, and thanks for the opportunity. I think things are going very well with the trial. Obviously, the South African Medical Research Council is not implementing the trial. We are co-funding the trial. So the principal investigator, Shabi Amadi, it looks like he's doing very well up to this stage.
Yes, you certainly got an absolutely top expert leading that vaccine trial. I'm just wondering if the trial and the fact that South Africa was prepared to co-fund and be part of a vaccine trial, we know there are many trials around the world, but does that give South Africa an advantage when it comes to distributing the vaccines? There's much talk of something called vaccine nationalism, and a concern really that the richer countries are going to pre-order vaccines even before they're developed and gobble up all the available vaccines, and the poor countries won't get a look in. Do we have a bit of an advantage because we're prepared to host a trial here in South Africa?
It's definitely an important question. So we co-funding this clinical trial, first of all, because it is the first trial to take place in Africa. So it is an important trial in that sense. So it's actually putting Africa on the map of COVID-19 clinical trials. As far as the security in terms of accessing the vaccine, if the vaccine becomes available, as far as that is concerned, obviously there are a number of discussions. And this is not just about South Africa. This is about the world, rich and poor countries. And the narrative is that whether you are rich or poor, if there is a vaccine, there must be access to the vaccine, there must be equity. And we are encouraged by the fact that big organizations like the World Health Organization has actually started the discussion on this, and we hope that if the vaccine is available, everybody will have access to the vaccine. Obviously, there will be a priority and preference in terms of who should get the vaccine, because you know that there are those who are at risk for COVID-19, like healthcare workers, the elderly, and others with their comorbidities. Obviously, those will be prioritized if there is a vaccine.
How will you make sure that South Africa and Africa, because I do know that President Cyril Ramaphosa announced recently that we will bargain as a unit in Africa for COVID vaccines and that sort of thing, to have a very strong joint bargaining position, is my understanding. How are you going to ensure that Africa's voice is heard and that important life-saving vaccines do come our way? Is there something specifically that you're involved with to make sure it happens?
There is political leadership on this issue, and there are a number of voices, especially voices from the researchers. So, as I said, it is definitely an important area. I believe that South Africa will not be ignored, especially if the clinical trial that we are doing in South Africa ends up with a vaccine product, because that product would have been tested right here in South Africa. So we will be prioritized as well.
Well, thank you very much. We know it's very early days with the vaccine trial, but let's hope there's good news soon. And thank you very much for your time, Professor Jeffrey Mphahlele from the South African Medical Research Council.